Kia ora class. Today we're going to be talking about cost as a possible influence on people's participation in physical activity. Now the learning intention for today, as our previous lessons, today we're exploring how and why cost affects people's participation in physical activity. What is cost? Now I've got a dictionary definition here. Cost is the amount that has to be paid or spent to buy or obtain something. Okay, and that's from oxforddictionaries.com. So if we think of a certain physical activity as the something in that definition, physical activity is the thing we are trying to buy or obtain, then cost means the money required to access that activity. Most physical activity, not all of it, but most physical activity will have some sort of cost associated with it, whether that's the cost of the equipment or the cost to play or the cost for the venue or whatever. So cost as a negative influence. Most people would initially look at cost as a barrier to physical activity, a negative thing, something that has a negative impact on their participation. Some activities can only be accessed after paying a certain cost, and if you can't meet that cost, well, there's no way around it. If they say, this activity costs this much and you can't pay that, you can't do it. There may also be associated costs, not the direct cost to play or to participate, but other things around that. For example, if there was a school camp, and most people are bringing their own equipment, but some people can't afford that extra equipment. They have to borrow it from their friends or from the school or from their teacher, and that may make them not want to participate as well or participate less. For example, if they couldn't afford the food for the camp, then they may not participate in the cooking aspect of the camp. They may still do some of the activity, but not all of it. Another example would be gym memberships. Gyms are a really popular way for people to get involved in physical activity, and obviously all those gyms have a membership fee. But if you want to be involved in a gym but can't afford it, then that's obviously a barrier. That's obviously changed your participation in a real negative way. You've gone from wanting to participate to being unable to do so. And there's a perfect example of this. It was in the news in early January 2018, a photo of this young Syrian refugee, and he's staring through the window of this gym. Someone took a photo of it and it went viral, and heaps of news outlets picked up on the story. We're going to have a look at that now.
Biz de gördükten sonra tabii ki çok duygulandık. Böyle soğuk bir havada terlikle gezip boyacılık yapan Muhammed kardeşimizi görünce.
Bu abiye buldu, bana yardım etti. Bize zayıflara istiyorum. Bir abiye bana yardım etti.
All right. So that video demonstrates how cost can be a negative influence on someone's participation. Obviously had a good ending there, which is cool. Now we're going to talk about how cost might be a positive influence. And this is not as intuitive. This is not as straightforward. It's not something people immediately think of, but it is interesting nonetheless. So, if something has a cost associated with it, do you think that someone is more or less likely to fully participate to the best of their ability? Okay, so they've had to pay something for it. Do you think they're more or less likely to follow through on that? Similarly, if something we would normally have a big cost associated with it, so we may not normally be able to access it, and then someone pays that for you or someone gives you a discount, again, do you think that will have a positive or a negative effect on people's participation? The last little question here, are people more or less ready to accept and embrace opportunities that are given to them if they couldn't normally afford it. So someone who normally couldn't afford something, boom, suddenly they're given this opportunity. Do you think they're going to grab that? Do you think they're going to go for that opportunity? I think the answer to those questions is yes. I think that yes, if someone puts money into something, someone has to pay, then they are more likely to carry on with that. Quick example here. If it costs, say, $2 to book some lanes down at the bowling place, down at the place where you do the 10-pin bowling, it costs $2 to book a lane. You're going to be pretty sort of not really that fussed if you have to cancel your booking. You know, you're just like, oh, actually, I can't be bothered going down to bowling. A couple of my friends bailed. $2, who cares? But what if it was $100 to book a lane? Okay, it's now $100 to book that lane. You're almost certainly going to go and make use of that booking. You're not going to be like, oh, I can't be bothered, I'm not going. Okay, because you've invested so much in it, you're much more likely, in my opinion, to use it. And again, I think we can see this through the example of gym memberships. There was a report that I found online. It was just sort of referenced in a few articles, couldn't find the report itself, but it suggests that the two things that were really significant in determining how often people utilized a gym membership was, one, how close the gym was, and two, the cost. And they found that people were more likely to travel further and more likely to attend regularly if their gym was a more expensive gym. So that's how cost could also be a bit of a positive, I guess. So summing up today, cost might prevent some people from participating fully in certain activities or mean that they simply can't participate at all. Okay. However, if someone makes a significant financial investment, they put in a lot of money to meet the cost of an activity, for example, a gym membership, or having to buy some equipment themselves, or having to save up for an extended period of time to meet a cost, then I think that's going to increase their willingness to participate and keep coming back and participating more. So that's us for today. That's how and why cost might affect people's participation in physical activity.